But there's a little boy that I met several years ago who's become well, he's alongside of my mom and Martin Luther King as my heroes in life. And I met him working with the Children's Miracle Network. The Children's Miracle Network raises money for youth hospitals across North America. And John, when I met this young guy, we had gone to Ottawa. And because all the kids meet in Ottawa, and the kids from the U.S. meet at Washington, D.C., and they then go down to Disney World where the telethon is shot. So our kids were in our nation's capital, and I got a chance to go up and meet them all. And when I arrived, they said, Mike, we want you to go in and meet all the kids and their parents and their siblings. But before you do, one little boy's parents wants to talk to you. That was Sean's parents. Well, they said, Mike, the reason we want to talk to you is that our son Sean is in a wheelchair. He's the only child in a wheelchair. He's in a wheelchair and he can't walk or talk. Says the only thing we ask you is to treat him just like any other 15-year-old boy. Now, how am I going to do that? How am I going to treat a little boy who can't walk or talk just like any other 15-year-old boy? I've got no idea, but I'm the honorary spokesperson. My job is to say yes. We'll figure out the details later, right? So I said yes, and I was, ready to go in. And they said, a few more things we want to let you know before you go in. One is that football is his favorite sport. Not only that, the Toronto Argonauts are his favorite team. Not only that, pinball is his favorite player. So when he sees you, he's going to be awfully excited. Guys, I never forget the day I walked in that room. I was meeting all the parents, and I finally saw Sean. When I saw Sean, I knew who he was right away because he was the only child in a wheelchair. His right leg was crossed over his left because his right leg moves uncontrollably, and his arms were crossed in his lap. And when he saw me, his face just lit up, and his leg flung to the other side of the wheelchair, and his arms went in the air and said, ah, 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 ah. And at that minute, I did exactly what his dad asked me not to do. How could I not feel sorry for a little boy? All he wants to do is say hi, and he can't do that. That was my first mistake, though, because the more I got to know him, the less sorry I felt for him, and the more inspired I felt by him. This little boy who's in a wheelchair, can't walk or talk, goes to regular high school, and is one of the best students in the entire school. Fact is, we took a tour of Ottawa. The first question on the tour guide asked, and someone blurted the answer out. The second question, no one knew the answer to. And so Sean had a chance to spell the answer out on his board. Someone helps him, right? And he kind of moves his head or whatever it is he does, and he's able to write the answer out on the board. He got the second question right. Everyone clued in at the same time. So now everybody's waiting to see if Sean is going to get the question right. 2-hour tour. This little boy got every question right. Absolutely phenomenal. But then I found out, his particular challenge is a physical one. There's no reason why he wouldn't be a very smart young boy. He has cystic fibrosis. Doesn't bother his mental faculties. Then I found out he played hockey when he was younger on a real house league hockey team. I'm thinking, how would he do that? Well, his dad rigged up some goalie pads for him, and he played in net on a real house league hockey team. Now, for me, I couldn't get this little boy out of my mind. I spent most of my days with him. We were down in Disney World the last day. I had learned to talk to him in yes or no questions because he felt more empowered that way. He didn't have to use the board, right? He didn't have to have somebody help him. We can just engage in conversation. So I said, Sean, are you going to go to Epcot? He, thinking, very smart young boy. He shook his head, no. I said, how about the Animal Kingdom? It was new, right? He shook his head, no. As I went through all 4 parks, he shook his head, no. I said, are you feeling okay? He shook his head, yeah. He's always up. I'm trying to figure out, is there something wrong? So I go and ask his mom. I says, is Sean okay? She says, yes, Mike, why do you ask? He's having the time of his life. I says, well, I asked him if he was going to any of the parks tomorrow, and he said no. I said, maybe I just didn't understand him. She went over and she said, Sean, Pinball wants to know why you're not going to any of the parks tomorrow. He spelled out on his board, because Pinball, I've got a 3 o'clock tea time. That's right. This little boy played 18 holes of golf that next day. Now, for me, guys, I could not get the image of this little guy out of my mind. I got home and I could not get his image out of my mind. I said, I'm supposed to learn something here. And so in my mind, I'm saying, now what's my lesson? Because, I mean, you think about this, right? They go to the first tee, right? And his dad gets up out of the cart and he puts the tee down, puts the ball on the tee. Then he goes and he gets Sean out of the cart. He puts Sean in the harness. He buckles the harness. Then he goes around the back of the cart. They take the club out of the cart. Then they go down and they address the ball together. They swing the club together. Then they go back to the back of the cart, put the club back in the cart, go around the side of the cart, take Sean out of the harness, puts him back into the cart, walks around the other side of the cart, and they drive to the ball again. Question: how long does a game of golf take? How long does a regular game of golf take? 4 hours. You've obviously told your wife that before. Yes, yes. Yeah, 4 hours is, yeah. Yeah, that's light, yeah. Question: how long do you think it must have taken him that day? Larry, better question. Doesn't matter. Right? The better question, does it matter? This little guy, man, I just couldn't get him out of my mind. I kept thinking, what am I to learn? What am I to learn? So I tried to put myself in his shoes, right? And as I tried to put myself in his shoes, I realized when I was at Disney World, you can't do that. Disney World gives you that everything is right with the world kind of feeling, right? But when I got home and I really started to think about, what must it be like? I had to go back because, you see, as he begins his day, he can't walk or talk. And when people can't walk or talk, you also, like, people think, well, they can't hear. They can't process. They don't think, right? And so they say mean stuff, really mean stuff. So every day he has to hear all of this garbage. But then he gets home. That's his safe place, right? He can relax a little bit, let his guard down. Then all of a sudden, his dad says, hey, son, let's go play hockey. Now my own dad is teasing me. Believe this? I got to hear this all day, and now my own dad is there. Like, Dad, what are you talking about? I can't walk. How am I going to skate? And you know what sucks about it? You can't even say it. You got to spell it out, some stinking boy. If I'm honest with myself, I'm like, Dad, I hate you. I hate my life. I hate you brought me here. If I'm honest with myself, that's how I would have felt. But you know what this little boy said? Hey, Dad, drop the puck. Queens, 2013. Vanier bound. It's the wrong analogy, but drop the puck. It'll work for tonight. Huh? All right. 3 things I want us to learn from him. 3 things, guys. 1, you think this little boy could have felt sorry for himself? You think he had a reason to feel sorry for himself? Instead of feeling sorry, he made the best with what he had. Secondly, you think he had the right to complain? Anybody ever complain about anything? You think this little boy had the right to complain? Instead of complaining, they turned the question around. You know, they could have said, hey, Pinball, listen, that my son's in a wheelchair, can't walk or talk. He's the only child in a wheelchair, and you're his favorite player. Can you go and spend extra time with him? They could have said that, and I would have been like, hey, yeah. No, they said treat him like any other 15-year-old boy. You know what? I spent more time than I would have if they'd have said it the other way, because I was there by choice. One more thing, and the thing that still agitates me about this story is that this little boy now has graduated university. Go ahead. And you say, agitate. Why would I be agitated about that? I'm not agitated about that. What I'm saying is, after all this little guy's done, don't you think, lives on the East Coast, don't you think just one day, be great if he could actually get up and walk along the coast? We're not talking about every day, just one day. Wouldn't it be great if one day he could feed himself and have a conversation at lunch? Just one day. No. Every day, even as we sit here tonight, this little boy can't walk or talk. But every day, he makes the choice to live. That's what I'm going to ask you to do. 3 things. Guys, don't feel sorry, don't complain, and don't quit. Okay. Let me say it again. Don't feel sorry, don't complain, and don't quit. Say it with me. Don't feel sorry, don't complain, and don't quit. Again, don't feel sorry, don't complain, don't quit. Louder this time. Don't feel sorry, don't complain, don't quit. Yell it this time. Don't feel sorry, don't complain, don't quit. If you get to that point, I want you to say in your mind, drop the puck.